So in the previous video, we discussed about the process of aerobic and anaerobic respiration. Now in this video, we will be talking about the process of breathing or the process of exchange of gases. Now we know that for the process of cellular respiration, we need the oxygen to reach each and every part of any organism's body. Now, how this oxygen will be taken in to different parts of the body so that the cells can carry out the aerobic respiration, right? Okay. So now let us see in different organisms how the oxygen is taken in and the carbon dioxide is taken out, right? So in this process, it is called as the process of gaseous exchange. So different organisms, they follow different mechanisms, different pathways, or we can say different procedures to exchange this respiratory gases. Now carbon dioxide and oxygen are called as the respiratory gases. Now in plants, so the first let us discuss in plants, right? Okay. So many of the people, they have this confusion that the plants respire carbon dioxide and they give out oxygen. But it is not true. Actually, in plants, two processes take place during the daytime. That is, one is the photosynthesis process and the other one is the respiration process. Now in respiration, the plant has to take, like any other organism, the oxygen inside and it has to give out the carbon dioxide outside. And in photosynthesis, what happens? The plant has to take in the carbon dioxide and it has to give out the oxygen as an end product of the photosynthetic reactions. Now, both the things that is taking place together during the daytime. So one more confusion or one more myth is there that plants do not respire during the daytime. It is absolutely wrong. Plants do respire during the daytime. They do the photosynthesis also, right? So whatever they give out the carbon dioxide during the respiration process, the same carbon dioxide is again taken in by the plant for the process of photosynthesis, right? So the product which is going out, now it is again taken by the plant itself for another process. So during the daytime, there is no carbon dioxide surrounding the plant. And during the night time, what happens? As there is no photosynthesis, photosynthesis cannot take place without the presence of sunlight. Now during the night time, the plants, they take only the oxygen in and they give out only the carbon dioxide out. That is the reason it is not advisable to sleep under a tree during the night time because we will feel suffocation. Because there will be lot of carbon dioxide surrounding the plant. Because the plant is giving out the carbon dioxide on a regular basis during the night time. During daytime also the plant is giving out CO2. But during the daytime the CO2 which is given out, that is again taken in by the plant for the process of photosynthesis. Right. So the structure which helps the plant for the process of gaseous exchange, we have already discussed about it. That is the stomata. So stomata is a tiny pore present at mostly at the lower epidermis of the leaves and they carry out this exchange of gases. So whenever oxygen is required, they will take oxygen. Whenever carbon dioxide is required, they will take in the carbon dioxide. So depending on the requirement of the cells, depending on the lacking in the cells, they will be taking in the carbon dioxide or oxygen, right? The process which is followed here is simple diffusion. Okay, the process which is followed here is simple diffusion, right? Okay, like plants, all living organisms, they have to do this gaseous exchange, the respiratory gas exchange, right? So now let us see how this gaseous exchange happens in the terrestrial organisms. So in terrestrial organisms, so in animals, what happens? In animals, so those who are terrestrial animals, so they will be having specific organs. So their body is having a specific organ, different organisms. So it is not that always they will have is the same organ. They may have different types of organs, right? So like you have studied in lower classes, the fish may have a gill, not fish. Fish is an aquatic organism. The insects, they have trachea, tracheal tubes, spiracles, and the other organisms, they like a frog, it is having the moist skin, it is having both lungs and moist skin. The higher organisms have a structure which is called as the lungs, and many different types of breathing organs are there. That is exchange of gases organs, right? So it is not that same organ will be carrying out the gaseous exchange. Now what happens in terrestrial organism? They have to carry out this gaseous exchange by a particular organ, right? Okay. Now in the aquatic organisms, aquatic animals. Okay, in aquatic animals, what happens? The oxygen which is present, that is called as the dissolved oxygen. Okay, the dissolved oxygen which is present in the water, that is taken in by the organism, right? As I was telling about the fish has a gill. The frog inside the water will be carrying out by the moist skin. Okay, so when it is on the land, it will be using the lungs. When it is inside the water, it uses the skin. Similarly, many different organisms, they use different, like fishes, they use gills. So mostly what happens, the terrestrial organisms, they are dependent on the dissolved oxygen, that is dissolved in the water, right? So the breathing rate of this terrestrial organism is lower than the breathing rate of the aquatic organism. Why? Because the aquatic organisms, they take the oxygen from dissolved condition. So concentration of oxygen is very less. So they have to breathe very faster, right? So they have to breathe very faster so that they can meet the need of oxygen in their body. Whereas the terrestrial organism, they are taking the oxygen directly from the air. So concentration of oxygen is very high. So they don't need to breathe very faster. They breathe very slow, right? So that is what terrestrial organism, they breathe slow, whereas the aquatic organisms, they breathe faster. Okay, you must have seen the fish making the opening the mouth again and again, and opening the operculum inside which the gills are there. So that is movement of the operculum. So it is very faster because they need to take more oxygen that is in the dissolved condition, right? So next we will see the terrestrial organism. What should be the characteristics of a organ which is there for the gaseous exchange? Okay, so characters of the breathing organ. Characters of breathing organ. Okay, so what are the characters? So it should possess some characteristic so that it can efficiently do the gaseous exchange. Now what are the characteristics it must have? It should be moist. Okay, it should be moist, it should be very thin and delicate, so that, and it should have larger surface area. Okay, it should have larger surface area, it should be moist all the time, and it should be thin and delicate. So as it is thin and delicate, so it has to be placed deep inside body to provide protection, right? So these are the 4 properties that a breathing organ must possess. So whichever is the breathing organ, they must possess all these 4 qualities or characteristics. So first one is moist, that will be helping for the exchange of gases. Second is thin and delicate, so that the diffusion process is faster. Third is larger surface area. We know that when the surface area is large, diffusion is always easier. And the last one is placed inside, deep inside the body. So providing protection, as it is thin and delicate, so it should not be harmed by the external environment.